Hello, this is the newly released CRUMAR Sorrento organ. In today's video, I want to do a deep dive on this, the included Burn Leslie rotary speaker emulation pedal. So let's rig up an overhead camera and we'll explore together what this can do and what it can't do. Hello, in today's video, I want to talk about this. This is the CRUMAR Burn pedal for 2025. When you buy a Sorrento organ, this comes bundled with it. So let's discuss it. Firstly, as always, I want to talk about the build quality and the construction of this, which is absolutely fabulous. It's a lovely metal box with a very shiny mirror finish. This is steel or aluminium. Everything is really solid. One thing on the design I will say, I wouldn't put this on the floor because these knobs are protruding and very close to the buttons. So you don't want to be stomping with this one using your feet. You're very likely to nudge the buttons. In the best case, you'll just change the settings. In the worst case, you'll break the knobs. So don't be putting this on the floor. Fortunately, there is a socket on the side where you can connect a foot pedal switch with actually two switches. It supports two switches. It's a TRS jack there, and you can control both the speed of the Leslie, slow, fast, and if it's stopped or rotating, so applying the brakes. So the two switches on the foot pedal will adjust those two things. Very nice. What else would I say about this? Yep, if you're using it with the organ, you just have one LAN cable to connect it to the instrument, which sends power and the analog audio from the organ into the Burn pedal here. Otherwise, you will need a 12-volt AC adapter. It doesn't run on batteries. If you're not using this cable connection, if you're using it with another organ or a guitar, then you just plug into the mono input, which we have there. And there is no stereo input here either. If you're thinking of running your workstation through the pedal, normally having it bypassed, except for when you're playing the organ sounds, you can't really do that because there's no stereo ins. So your piano sounds would sound pretty rubbish in mono when you bypass the pedal. Not sure I explained that very clearly, but let me know in the comments otherwise and I'll do a better job of explaining. Always stereo outputs on these rotary speaker simulations. That's the word I was looking for, because a real Leslie speaker spins the sound around. There's a horn that rotates very fast on the top and a rotating drum on the bottom, and those throw air around and sound around the room. And to recreate that, you of course need stereo outputs. So that's it. I've dialed up a sound here on the organ. I've got a little bit of the, let's pull out the mids and a bit of high end as well. Switched off the vibrato chorus because that makes it harder to hear what the rotary simulation is doing. I've switched off the percussion as well. Yeah, let's switch that off. Just listen to the pedal. There will be no virtuoso playing on this particular video. This is more of a scientific listen to the pedal. I won't share too much of my opinions, and I don't have a real Leslie to compare it with anyway, but I'll let you judge for yourself. I'll just play it for you and you can judge for yourself. So all the settings pretty much at 12 o'clock here, the default, apart from the reverb, which I've dialed back a little bit there. So let's take a listen. We'll switch it to stop. By the way, this is the bypass. Without it, you get quite a interesting sound with the Leslie bypass. This is, I believe, what a real Hammond would sound like if you didn't run it through a rotary speaker. It's a completely different frequency response and you get a lot of that key click. Let's put the key click in the middle, which is to be expected. Listen to how the tone changes. The the frequency response just when we activate the rotary simulation. We can stop it using this pedal. If you do a long press, it stops both of the speakers rotating. In fact, it's more correct to say the speaker on the bottom doesn't rotate, the big bass speaker doesn't rotate. There's a drum around it, a baffle that spins instead, throws the sound around. On the top of the Leslie speaker, there's a rotating horn. Looks like there's two horns that spin around. Only one of them throws out the sound, the other one is a counterweight. With this control, actually, I can adjust the balance between the upper horn and the lower drum. Firstly, let's just finish explaining what we have here. A long press will stop it from spinning completely. Press it again. Slow. Press it fast. Press it again to slow. It now toggles between the slow and the fast, slow, fast. You can see the LED pulsing there perhaps. A long press will stop it completely. I'm going to shut up and play this for you. We'll go from stopped. Let's see, it goes back to whatever you had before. So we've got it on fast. Let's stop it. And this is my favorite Leslie effect. We're just going to release the brakes and have those rotors spin up. Take a listen. Stop. What you want to be listening out for is the drum rotating, and that one accelerates and decelerates much, much slower than the horn, which stops pretty much instantly. I'm going to give you a little bit of help here. I can actually emphasize the horn at the top, the upper end. Here, the bass is gone. Or you can just hear the low end, the drum. This is adjusting the balance of the microphones. Typically, you mic up a Leslie with two microphones on the top, on the horns, and one or two on the bottom on the drum. That's just the drum now. And mixing in between. And this is a really cool effect. If you want more of the top end, for a little bit more drama, let's take a listen. I wish I'd connected my sustain pedal now, because it's a bit hard to do this. Slow speed. Listen carefully. Hopefully you were able to hear the sound of the drum and the horn separately there. Here's just the drum. And here's just the horn. But it's very interesting. I think in particular the EQ is not only simulating the rotating speakers, but the tone you get by playing through a big wooden box. So we have some other controls as well that I want to demonstrate. Let's see. This video is sponsored by my piano club members here on YouTube and over on Patreon. I publish weekly members-only premium videos every week on all aspects of playing synthesizers, keyboards, piano and organs like this. So please do go check it out. It just costs a few bucks a month and I publish a video every single week. You get lots of other perks as well, so thanks in advance. It's a great way to support me, the channel and the work I do. That's the balance. This one's the distance. Let's get it rotating fast. I'll adjust it. These are all very subtle, actually. I don't really hear much of a difference. Certainly you wouldn't in a gig situation. Okay, that wasn't so subtle after all. Hear the drums still going? I hear a lot of people doing demos of these kind of rotary pedals, and they'll actually stop playing the chord before the baffle has stopped rotating, the low frequencies. So once more, let's get it going fast. Stop it. The horn has stopped, but the baffle is still spinning, right? Stop it completely. I will say it's a little bit fiddly to have to do the long press to stop it. It means one of your hands is occupied for a second or two whilst you do that. It's bad enough just switching between the fast-slow with one press and having to use up one of your hands and release whatever chord you're playing. And I know if you're doing a real performance, probably you're not holding down chords like I'm doing now, but I want you to really hear the effect of the simulator here. So yeah, that had more of an effect than I thought. The next one is the angle. Let's put it on the fast. Just the angle. That one really is subtle. Something to do with the angle of the microphones in relation to the actual cabinet. Then we've got the speed, subtle. Let's take a listen. It's doing about a 10% adjustment of the slow speed and the high speed, presumably. Let's try. Actually, I'm going to wind up this distance as well, make the mic real close so we can hear. So that was the speed. Then we've got the acceleration control. Let's put it all the way to one side. See what happens. That seemed to be a much faster ramp up time. Let's put it all the way on the other direction. I'm going to go to stop. Yeah, I do like that actually, cranked up a little bit, even more dramatic. Finally, we have the reverb. This is what CRUMAR say is they call it the digital hall reverb. I don't think they say hall, they just call it digital reverb. It sounds like a hall. This is after the Leslie speaker effect. But we also have a spring, which is before. You hear? The spring reverb is going to the speaker, which is very interesting. Psychedelic, yeah? That's actually very nice if you bypass. I will show you what a bit of distortion sounds like through the simulator. Let's put this up a little bit, the distance. I liked it when it was close mic'd. Stop it. very impressive. I love it. Let's go back to the hall reverb, by the way. So that was with a bit of distortion, well, a lot of distortion. Bypassed the distortion. Really wishing I had the external foot switch for this. It would make it so much easier. Although, then again, you wouldn't be able to see what the pedal is doing if I put it on the floor and stomped on it. And as I mentioned earlier, probably break the knobs. So a few more features here that you might have spotted. I'm going to adjust a few things here. We have the Memphis style. To the best of my knowledge, that means that the rotating drum is actually not rotating. You pull out a plug or something to stop that motor from working completely. So only the horn on the top doing the high frequencies will spin around. It's a lot nicer if you're playing bass lines. Very nice reverb, I like it. Yeah, so now the horn is spinning, but not the lower drum, which means I get a more consistent bass line. Let's go to slow. Maybe if we just listen to the drum. It's picking up a little bit of the rotating horn, maybe, I don't know, sure. Doesn't seem to be completely stopped. Actually, let's toggle it. So that's Memphis style. Ah, now Memphis is on, listen. Now it's stopped spinning. Yeah, okay, nice. I had it on the wrong setting. So, fast Leslie, slow Leslie, it's not affecting the bass. I hope I'm not upsetting anybody by actually calling this what is emulating a real Leslie speaker. That is trademarked, of course. It's better and safer to say Rotary speaker, but whatever. So, only the upper frequencies are being spun around. I like that. Then we have front stop. That just means that the rotor, the horn, will stop always facing the microphone. Stop it. So you get a consistent sound when you stop. The rotary always stops in the same virtual place. And I'm running low on camera batteries, and I think we've covered every single feature of this pedal. And you've heard many different examples of it in action. So I'll let you judge for yourselves how realistic it is. One thing I will say, you might have noticed, I haven't demonstrated any overdrive whatsoever because this pedal doesn't have any overdrive emulation of the original Leslie speakers, the amps inside them, the preamps and so on, unfortunately. So you're going to have to use a third-party overdrive pedal between the organ and the rotary to achieve those kind of overdriven crunchy effects that I personally love so much. Or you could just use the tube screamer circuitry here in the organ as well, but it's not quite the same as that overdriven crunch and dirt you get from a Leslie amp pushed to half an inch of its life. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks ever so much for watching and bearing with me as I fumble over the terminology and many of my words this evening. I've been out in the sun too long, apparently. So there you have it. Once again, I remind you please to check out my piano club on Patreon or over here on YouTube. All the links are in the show description. And another way you can support me completely free of charge is to and another way you can support me that's completely free of charge is just to subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me and it costs you nothing. So thanks in advance. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.